Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you are all doing very well. It is quite a sunny day today. We are the 1st of November. I have a little episode for you this week. A little bit of knitting progress, a new cast on, and I will also want to address again the Making Things app to tell you more about how it is regarding the designer side, because we had lots of very interesting discussions on Instagram about the economical system of it all and what it implies, and so I wanted to share more precise info with you in all transparency. And I will also have some pretty yarn to share with you, and yes, I think that will be a good way to start. So you can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. I will also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media. I am Yarnflakes pretty much everywhere, and pattern for sale on Ravelry, and my Making Things profile, which I will talk about after the knitting section. So I do have a finished object. Haha. I have finished my Hylde wrap, which is a design that I have been working on. You have seen it countless times. It is now completed and blocked, and yes, I don't have much more to say about this than everything that I have already talked to you about. I will share it again when the pattern is released, because it is currently being test knitted, and yeah, I am very happy with this. I will say, however, because this is a design collaboration with Maison Corlaine, which is a French indie dyer. Did I say I'm from France? Maison Corlaine, who is about to launch a new collection of yarn bases, non-superwash yarn bases, in a bunch of different breeds, and they sent me 3 skeins of their Falkland Merino Grey in fingering weight for me to design something for them. So now that the wrap is blocked, I can really give sort of a final feedback on the yarn. It is really soft, and the drape is really nice. There's 300 grams in it, so it is rather heavy. It's not a super lightweight yarn, but it's good for a winter accessory. So even though it's fingering weight, it can still make really warm garments. It is soft next to skin for me personally. It has a little halo, and I've already talked about the good stitch definition that revealed itself even more when blocking. And yes, so after blocking, the thing really that was even more obvious is the drape, and I think, yeah, it's due to the fact that the thread is really fine, and yeah, it's a 2-ply. It works really well for a neck accessory, I think, and I'm really happy with this. So this is Hylde and it's done. And yeah, I was able to take some pictures, which I'm okay with. Yeah, I kind of had this vision of something really eerie and mythical, which I couldn't really achieve in the back of my garden, where everything is sort of a mess. But yeah, they're okay. I kind of had to sacrifice the color in favor of clarity, just so that you can actually see the pattern, because I didn't want to put this on Ravelry and receive 100 comments saying that this is too dark, we can't see the pattern. I feel like there's a secret team on Ravelry that whenever someone does a rather dark photo shoot, they all just jump on them, telling them that this is too dark and they can see, which yeah, in many cases is indeed a problem. But sometimes they say it more or less nicely. But yes, so I did sacrifice the color accuracy in most pictures just so that you could see my pictures look like this, which is not the color of the yarn, but at least you can see the design. The color of the yarn is, yeah, it's really hard. It's a beautiful, beautiful green. It's not as dark as this. It's a little bit more yellowish. It's a really nice green, and yeah, I am sure that Guillaume, who is taking the photos of Maison Corplaine yarns, will be able to do a really better job than I was in taking appropriate pictures of their yarns. But yes, it was really a pleasure working with. I think it is really nice for these types of accessory. I am not so sure about sweaters because of how fine it is, and it doesn't bloom a lot, contrary to woolen spun yarns like Holst Garn, which is really thin, but it blooms, so it's not so much a problem for garments. This, on the other hand, stays quite thin, so yeah, it's good for accessories for me, and it's really a nice yarn to work with. Yeah, so this was my finished, let me grab my notes. This was my finished object for this week. I am going to move along into my works in progress, and I was kind of hoping that I had finished this, well, part of this to show you this week. Sadly I didn't. My first work in progress is my woolen honey sweater, and as you can tell, I'm almost done with the body. So I separated for the sleeves and the body. I knitted the body portion, which is a rather cropped sweater. So, and now I'm knitting on the hem, and I think I want to make it even a bit longer. I have almost 4 centimeters now, and I kind of want to have 5. I'm gonna keep going until I think it looks harmonious enough, even though I really don't like knitting ribbing. But yes, this is going nice. The body of it went pretty fast, considering it's garter stitch in the round and you knit 1 row, pull 1 row. It went pretty fast still, and it's looking really nice. Yeah, I hope the sleeves will go quickly too, but yes. And I am on my last skein, so I need to just finish the ribbing for this and make the 2 sleeves with this. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. Even if I need to make shorter than I wished sleeves, I think it's still going to look really cool. Yeah. When I separated for the body and the sleeves, I don't know what happened. I had to do it like 3 times. I couldn't count properly for the left. Yeah, I know what happened. It's because the beginning of the round is at the center back, and so you have to knit until the sleeves, put the sleeves on hold. And the problem is, I think there were 66 stitches for half a back and 63 for the sleeves, or the opposite. And so 66, 63, I got confused, and I didn't put the right amount of stitches on hold for 1 sleeve, and so it all got messed up on the other side. I had to do it a couple of times. I don't know, my brain was out, but it's now okay. And yeah, listen, I don't know if I have much other knitting progress to show you. I'm quite sorry, because last week it was as well a little bit small on that content. But yes, what happened is that I mostly worked, once I had finished my Hylde wrap, I mostly worked on another design of mine, which is this shawl. So this is the Poppa shawl. It's an asymmetrical shawl with loads of garter stitch, brioche and mosaic knitting. and I had to reback because I was almost done, but I was starting to run out of yarn. And I could have done half the finishing that I wanted to, and I thought that is a bit ridiculous. I might as well just rip out. And this garter section here was 10 rows bigger, and I ripped it until here, and I undid 10 rows just so that I would save a little bit more of my yarn to be able to finish the shawl as I intended to. My thoughts now, my thinking now is, so as you can see, I've done the brioche again. I'm gonna do garter until I don't know how many. I probably will do, I'm not sure, probably will do a smaller brioche section, like about half of this. And then I want to finish the shawl by repeating this, like having this mosaic section, bit of garter, and this mosaic section again, so that it ends nicely with the two mosaic bits. So yeah, I had to rip back quite a lot, but you know, it's a design of mine, so it has to be like I wanted. But yeah, that meant that it looks like I didn't advance much on it, even though I technically almost finished it. But yeah, and I do have a new cast on to share with you, and it's one of the Christmas gifts that I was talking to you about last time. I don't know why I can't speak today. It's a Colourwork hat. And so this is a Christmas gift from my boyfriend Marius, who wanted a Colourwork hat. So even though he keeps telling me I want a Colourwork hat, and I cast it on last night, and he says, oh, is this going to be one color? I'm like, no, you said you wanted a Colourwork hat. Why would I? You're not making sense. But yes, so the thing is, I've already told you I don't make many hats, so I'm not so comfortable sizing them. I'm afraid this is too small. I think, yeah, I'm going to put it on a bigger needle and try. I did so at the ribbing. I started over a couple of times because at first it was way too big, and my boyfriend would rather have it snug on his head than too loose. He doesn't like sloppy hats. And so at first it was too big, so I started over with fewer stitches on the ribbing, and then I increased a little bit and changed needle size for the Colourwork section, but I'm still afraid it's too big, it's too small now. I don't know. I'm gonna put it on a larger cable and put it on my head, because he has a slightly larger head circumference than I do. So I feel like if I can do it with my hair, it's probably, I have really thick hair, it's probably going to be okay for him, I hope. Yeah, I'll see. If not, it's like, I started this last night, and like I said, I started over a couple times, so it's not like it's taking so long. So if I have to redo it, I will. But I'm going to put it on a larger cable now and try it on and see. I have something in my eye that hurts. But yeah, I drew the motif myself because I just thought it was easier for me to draw a Colourwork motif for him rather than trying to find one he liked. So you can see there's a lot of little motifs here that are going to be repeated at the top. It's going to be, I'm going to have the room. And then I haven't finished them yet, but there are these like larger sort of boat type motif. I don't know. I have a few well, they're not really stitch dictionaries, but I have a few books that have a lot of motifs, either feral or Scandinavian Colourwork type motif. And yeah, so I just was browsing there, and I took a few of them, and that's generally what I do with my Colourwork chart. I just browse these things, and then I start, like I copy the motif I drew it on an Excel chart, I copy the motif and then I modify it to make it like I want. And then basically the way most Colourwork pattern happens for me is that I have a motif that I took from a place that I modified more or less, and then I need to fill in the gaps. So, because when you're doing stranded knitting, you kind of want to avoid long floats if possible. There's ways to go beyond that, but I personally don't want to bother yet with my designs having something that has that step up. So when I'm drawing a Colourwork motif, I want it to have as little long floats as possible for now. And so I'm just filling the gap, as you can see, of just like you add a little bit here, and then I had to fill in the insides of the thing just so that, yeah, it ends up being knittable. So basically the knittability of it sort of drives the motif as well. It's quite fun to draw Colourwork yourself if you haven't tried it. And if you feel like you'd like to, I highly recommend that you do. You know, you can just plan a hat. It's really simple. If, unlike me, you actually know what size you're supposed to be doing, and I think it's going to be a child size hat. I don't know, because the ribbing fitted. The ribbing fitted over my head. We'll see. If not, Marius will have to shave so that he gains a little bit more room. Well, he has really fine hair, unlike me, so yeah. But yeah, a hat is really easy. I feel if you want to draw your own Colourwork motif, it's quite fun, really. So that's what I did. I'm probably going to publish it as a design because, well, it's going to be rather gender neutral, so I think it would be a shame not to offer something that is really suitable for men and women. So yeah, if I can get the sizing right. But yeah, I think once I can try it on, it will be fine. And yes, that is all I've been knitting on this week. Well, not all, but all that is worth showing you. And I do have, however, some pretty yarn to show you. And the other day I was on Instagram asking if anyone had any opinion about a yarn from Yarns, which is the Yarns Oslo, which is the merino, camel and something else blend. It's a French yarn. It's a sport weight yarn. Basically, I was looking for a sport weight because I had this. Okay, I saw someone on Instagram wearing a beautiful, beautiful white sweater with a delicate cable motif. It was small cable in stripes and a really delicate color, and I really liked it. And it was obviously machine knitted, but I just zoomed on the thing to try and see what the stitches were, and if I were to reproduce it for hand knitting, how it would be. And I was able to get an idea. Of course, I'm not going to make the exact same sweater because it was an all over cable design, and yeah, no. But it needed a yarn that would look delicate and feminine, and at the same time I didn't want it to be really fingering weight because that would be a lot of knitting. I want it to be a drop shoulder with ease and the cables and everything. So I was looking for sport weight. I really like sport weight. I know not a lot of people use it, but I really like sport weight. So I was looking for something that would sort of be a sport weight, or at least a rather heavy fingering weight. And I was on Anna's shop, Anna from Lanae Tricot, which has online shop and physical shop in France. And she is a stockist for lanyards and fontis and a bunch of different things, and she had that quality, that base Oslo. And it looked interesting, so I asked on Instagram if anyone had any opinions, because not a lot of people have used it on Ravelry. And yeah, and she told me that her clients were happy with it, and a few people told me that it was nice. So I think I'm going to get it for something else, because I do want to make a design with it as well in the future. I have tons of ideas. But there was someone who wrote to me saying that if I liked sport weight, they knew a yarn, and it was Rosarios 4. Quattro. How do you say 4 in Portuguese, actually? I have no clue. Rosarios 4 Camwool, which is a yarn that is distributed by Rosario, and it's not the right color. Yeah, not as dark as this, but not as red as this. So this is basically, that person had knitted a sweater out of it, and she told me just that I could check on her account, and I saw it, and I needed something with a great definition that looked delicate, that was a sport weight, and this was just perfect. So I completely got enamored with it, and I just ordered the yarn because it looked perfect, and oh, I really like it. It's a really round, plump yarn, well defined, multiplied. I can tell it's going to have a good definition. It has 165 meters to 50 grams, so it is a sport weight, even if maybe fine, but it's going to have such a great definition. And it is a blend of, hold here, it is and it is a blend of 80% fine wool and 20% baby camel. I never really had baby camel, and yeah, it's a really soft and delicate yarn. I really like it. So I got a slider's quantity of this. This is a color 15. I'm kind of hesitated because I went with the idea of making a white or very light grey sweater, and I get this. I just really liked that color, and I thought it would change from more darker earthy tones. But the Oslo yarn, I do want it in a light grey, so I'll eventually get it. But yeah, so this is really, really soft and pretty, and yeah, I'm really happy with this. And that is it for all the knitty yarny content. Now I'm gonna get my notebook, because I have quite a lot of things to say regarding making things. So making things has just launched. I talked about this on my previous episode. I talked about it on Instagram. Everybody talked about it. I guess you're all sick and tired of hearing it. But I had really interesting discussions regarding designers' revenue. I saw a lot of concerns on Instagram, and I had very interesting questions, and people pointing out things to me that were quite interesting. And so I thought I'd try and go a little bit more deeper and behind the scenes this week with that, if you are interested in knowing more about how this app works for a designer. So, hold on, because I organized the whole thing. So, quickly, Making Things is website, basically, that has reformatted the patterns so that they would have interactive tools for you to follow them in a very convenient manner on a screen, basically computer, tablet, phone, because it's a web access. You don't have to download an application, and yeah, it has row counters, blah blah. I've already said it. Regarding the payment and how it works with the designers, because it's not just about hosting the PDF and having them as a tool. They have also different economic system, basically, because they have the whole database of patterns of the designers that are participating, and they're offering these patterns for through their service. And so it's a Knitflix type system. You pay a $12 subscriptions monthly, and then you have access to all the patterns that are available on the platform. You cannot export the pattern or print them. You're basically paying for the service of making things that they reformatted and used them to be able to use the app. Basically, it's not just about buying the patterns in a different way. The main point is to have that system of following patterns for people who really like reading patterns from a screen and that wish that it was convenient to keep track of things that way. And many people expressed concerns about how the designer's revenue was affected, and some concerns I share about whether it's going to affect the value we attribute to patterns, and if the system was fair and all. Now, why did I decide to participate and put my pattern on making things as well? The thing is, it applies to a specific group of knitters, those who like to read the patterns from a screen and be on the go and have a convenient tool, and those who knit enough for the subscription to be worth it, because you pay $12 a month, and yes, you have access to all the patterns, but it's kind of worth it if you knit at least 2 patterns per month financially, compared to the average price of a pattern on Ravelry. So it's not for everyone, but I do see both sides of both types of knitters in my customers and through my testers as well. Some like to print, some like to view things through a screen, and when I'm making my pattern, when I'm making my PDF, I kind of have to adjust and try and tailor to both aspects as far as layout goes. And sometimes the needs are going to be completely different. You know, I can put a chart in a way that it's easy to follow on a screen, but then it might mean that it takes a lot of space if you want to print it, a lot of unnecessary space. And a lot of people print their patterns in a sort of booklet form, and then they might end up being too small. You know, so I try my best, and my testers really help me a lot regarding that. And so, yeah, my PDFs are like a hybrid situation. There's a huge bumblebee. What are you doing here? Aren't you freezing? Oh god. My PDFs are like, yeah, a mix of both, and they're okay, you know, but I often wish there was a good option for people who follow things on screen. You know, if you want to mark the row you're on, if you want to zoom in the chart, if you want to access video tutorials and things. And yeah, I know a lot of people knit like that. Well, I say a lot, but as many people as actually print. That actually print the patterns. But yeah, so I was always wondering if there would be like some sort of a modern tool for this. And I know I've heard about Knit Companion, which sort of does it, but apparently it's not 100% what I had in mind. And this is what Making Things wanted to offer through their app. So even if personally I think I'm not the target, because I tend to print some of my patterns, and when I don't, I don't necessarily need to track things as intensively, and I don't, well, I design a lot as well, so that's, but I think I do need such an option as a designer, and I think it's nice that it exists. So that is why I was very interested when Making Things contacted me, and why I am so happy and excited that it exists now. But regarding how we're paid, because yes, it is that tool to read the patterns, but it also is a way for you to get patterns. Now, I and pretty much all the designers I talked to was a bit skeptical at first, and yeah, wondering how it would affect us, and is it really worth it, and is it not going to have a negative impact overall, but contacting Making Things and having them answer my questions and talking with them and thinking about it, I am pretty okay. I'm pretty reassured about the fact that they want to make this right. So I am going to explain to you how it works. I'm sorry if I'm looking down, I'm just trying not to forget anything. So there's first, there's no designer fees. Just disclosure, designers don't pay any fee to Making Things. So there are two ways that designers get paid through Making Things. The first one is through a referral link. You will find that every designer on Making Things has a personalized link. And if you first visit the app, it has to be the first time. If you visit the app through a designer's link and then you subscribe, the first designer you visited will receive money. They will receive $30 total, spread across 3 months, but they will receive $30 for the first month of November, and then it will be $20. So that's quite a lot of money, which is why I'm a bit bummed when I see that designers don't say that. And I don't mean say it every time, but at least say it once. Because obviously it's something that bigger designers with larger communities will highly benefit from. And so when they don't say that they're getting paid, I don't know if it's fair. Now obviously, and Making Things contacted me because I just wrote this on Instagram this morning, and Making Things contacted me. Obviously, the more people on the platform, the better for everyone. That's really great. I'm just talking from a sort of transparency and even legal point of view. I do think we have to say when we have a link, and well, I know we have to say when we have a link, and if something happens with it, we get paid. So it's sort of like an affiliate link, but I don't think you can use the term affiliate, because affiliate links is when you click on the link and then you buy something, a percentage of the money will get reversed to the person who promoted the thing to you. This is not how it works, because you have to be the first. So it's really a referral system. Say you visit designers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And then you decide to subscribe because you see, oh, designer 6, and you really like them and you want to subscribe because you've seen their profile page. The money will go to designer 1. See? So it's not, I don't think that's an affiliate system. And so I wasn't sure what term I should use to mark said link, because you can find my link in the description, and I put it on Instagram as well. I wasn't sure, so I just wrote a sentence explaining the thing. But Making Things told me that paid referral is a good term, so I think I will use that. Why, if you are interested in Making Things and would consider subscribing, I highly encourage you to look for the link of any designer you want to support. If you want to. If you don't, then it's fine. You don't have to subscribe to the app. But if you'd like to support someone, find their designer link, because that's really nice. So that's one thing. And then the second way designers get paid is per usage, and that is kind of the thing that made me shift opinions on this. So if in a given month, if a user views your pattern, you will get a portion of their subscription. Basically half their subscription fee goes to Making Things, and the rest will be attributed to designers. So for example, if the subscription is $12, $6 to Making Things, you do one of my pattern, I get $6. You do my pattern, you do a pattern from someone else, $3 and $3 for each of us. That's how it works. Now, is that fair? And is that the same amount that I decided on Ravelry? Because Ravelry has the very good thing of letting you decide the amount you ask for. Even though, yeah, if you want to ask $15 for a pattern, I would argue that you can't, because, yeah, it's just when you're in such a big platform competing internationally, you are kind of compelled to align prices. But it's still the amount you decided on. And the thing is, with making things, yes, it means that per pattern, a designer might win less. For example, if a user views 5 patterns from 5 different designers, well, it's going to be split. Now, the thing is, it also means that if you take several months to knit a pattern, the designer will keep getting paid. If you knit the pattern several times in the future, the designer will get paid. And that's what I meant by it's per usage. I don't know if usage is the right, it's per use. Basically, you're like Knitflix. Basically, you're paying because you're using the pattern. See what I mean? You're not buying the pattern. That's the difference. That's the economic system of Knitflix. That's a service-based way of thinking, and yeah, you're not paying the pattern. So in that regard, I think, yeah, I'm not sure how it will go. I don't know. I wanted to offer my pattern because I think the tool is really good, and I think it can be a good complementary, stable source of revenue for designers if it works. And yeah, the thing is, I wonder if there's a way to make this a little bit different. Like, what about the tier subscription? Like, you know, for example, you would have different levels of subscription. For the lowest level, you would have access to one pattern, so all the designer will get paid more. And if you want to make more patterns, you can pay more. You see, kind of level that thing. I understand why Making Things went all in, and yeah, following it's a Knitflix, and yeah, I'm really curious to see how it works, how many people are into it, because like I said, it's really not for everyone. And yeah, if it does have an impact on how we view the knitting pattern industry. One thing as well that I saw mentioned is that from the maker side, if you pay a subscription, you're kind of compelled to consume more and more to make it worth it. And I understand some people might feel pressured and see it as a problem. So maybe my tier subscription idea is not such a bad idea, because it will, yeah, if you pay for the number of patterns you actually access, yeah, maybe you wouldn't feel as pressured. I don't know. That's just an idea. But for now, basically you pay $12 and you access every pattern, and I think that has its advantages as well, because it means you can check them individually and see how they're written and see if you want to make them, basically. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the economical system of Knitflix. I know it's not perfect. I think it has its advantages. Even just simply the fact that it made paying for content okay again for a whole bunch of people who pretty much can just download anything for free illegally. And we still choose to pay Netflix. So I think that's one positive thing. Of course, it could be handled in many different ways, many better ways, many worse ways as well. I am French, so I know what a bad movie and TV industry in terms of distribution is like. So yeah, so that's how it is, and I'm I'm not too worried about it. You know, I'm happy that the solution exists, and I am pretty positive, and just the fact that everyone is so concerned about the designer's revenue and how is this going to work is actually a very good sign. I mean, if you're also worried that I don't win enough money, you're actually awesome people, so why would I worry? But yeah, and you know, we're not silly. We know theft exists and is a possibility, and it already happens with Ravelry, you know, sharing PDFs and offering to test knit for someone and then poof, disappearing. But yeah, of course, people are afraid that people are going to be able to export the patterns from making things. It happens, and the thing is, when all necessary precautions have been taken, and they have been taken, people are not dumb. Well, there's not much we can do about it, and the thing is, I can't think of someone stealing through making things, but they still would have been an honest customer through Ravelry. That just doesn't make much sense to me. If that exists, well, I don't want to deal with them. So I'm pretty happy not having to consider them customers anyway. So it's not a loss per se if people steal patterns for making things, because they're just not, it's not like they would have bought them. I don't know. I think that would be a really small thing to consider, especially since, like I said, you're also overwhelmed, no, you understand what I wanted to say. You're also supportive. So yeah, what else do I want to say? So yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to stay on the positive line. I'm curious to see where it goes. These are my thoughts on it at the moment. I don't really have any expectations. Like I said, it's in no way going to replace Ravelry. I do consider Ravelry my priority because you can access other people's projects there, and to me that's an important thing. But I think it's a good complementary tool for a certain group of knitters, and I know the people behind making things, by talking with them, are really eager to make this right and to improve the maker and the designer experience with their product. So yeah, I think we should give them a shot. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I managed to get through my thoughts. I think I'm going to have to edit this quite heavily, but hopefully I would have made sense. Please do share in the description any questions you have, any thoughts. Do you think it's a good thing? Are you completely against that Knitflix economical system? You know, I'm not, I don't know everything. I'm not an economical you know, student or renowned thinker, so do share your thoughts. I think it's interesting to keep the discussion going on. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say regarding making things. And yes, we are approaching the end of the podcast. Since I've been talking about Netflix, I kind of wanted to have a couple recommendations for you, because I have been watching a lot lately, and there's two things I've really enjoyed recently and I wanted to share in case you haven't checked them out yet. It's two animations in a very different style. So the first one is Hylde, which is a really sweet series, an animated series, which is well, it's a children's series, but I watched it and I found it really delightful. So it's I think it's a graphic novel from the start. It's the story of a little girl who used to live in the middle of the woods and is moving to a city, and it's all in sort of Nordic mythological kind of atmosphere, and the mood of it is really sweet. It is a charming series. It's funny as well, and I really like the animation style. I think yeah, it's full of little things like her hair color changes if it's day or night. If you see the characters from very far away, their hands are like little balls at the end of the sticks. I think it's really cute, and it has a really personal art style to it, which I really appreciate. You know, whenever I see a children's TV channel at the moment, I am quite but yeah, they're all very uniform, like this typical 3D, a little bit Japanese animation type. They look very badly computer generated things. I'm talking about the recent, well, I don't know if they're recent, but when you watch a children's channel nowadays, I only see that. I have the impression that I am watching PlayStation 1 game, because it really looks like a computer generated drawing, and it's not so pretty. And I don't know, I remember the children's animation, and I remember from when I was a child, are the ones that, on the contrary, had a very distinct art style, even if it meant that it was maybe less smooth and less standardized. But it was the ones that were really, yeah, that had a really defined graphic style, and Hylde is one of them. So if you have any children, I highly recommend that you show them this, because it's really, really sweet, and it's uplifting, it's nice, and it's fun for adults too. I really like the eerie mood of it, and the music is sweet. Yeah, it's a really, really endearing show, and I think it's really cool that it exists for children, and yeah, I'm really happy that it is there. And the second animation I watched recently and I wanted to talk about is completely different and definitely not for children, and it's Castlevania. So I'm a nerd. I really like Castlevania's universe. If you don't know, Castlevania is a video game series that is basically its universe is basically revolving around Dracula and vampires, and yeah, it's a platformers series, really energetic, really, yeah, I really like the universe of these video games, and Knitflix did an animated series out of it, and I really enjoyed it too. One thing is, I'm not so sure how it is if you don't know about the Castlevania series. Not that you wouldn't understand. The story is perfectly understandable, and the characters are introduced to you. You can start the series without knowing anything about Castlevania. The thing is, I'm not so sure how good it is if you're not into the universe already. The series is beautiful, the drawings are really nice, although they have a problem with hands. But the art style, again, is really good. The backgrounds are beautiful. The music is terrific. There's a certain battle scene with a music that is really reminiscent of the game in the energy that it has, and I really, really enjoyed that scene. I kind of want to watch it again. And it is, however, quite a gory well, not terribly, considering what we're used to now with Game of Thrones and things. There's blood, there's a lot of blood. It's not gross. It's not gory gross, but it is violent. So yeah, just disclaimer if that's not your thing. It's not scary, it's, yeah. But yeah, I really liked what they did, and it was quite risky, I think, taking such a material and making it a series. Whenever you take something that has a big fan base, especially if it's video games, and you make a series or something, it's very risky. but they did a good job. I'm fairly surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be so enjoyable. And yeah, I like the story is sweet. Well, sweet. No, the story is not sweet at all. I mean the main three characters, the trio, they have charming dynamics that they're not. There isn't an unnecessary drama. It's not trying to be edgy for no reason. It's honest and simple, and it works. I really enjoyed it too. So yeah, two drastically different recommendations from me, but yeah, I think that's it for this week's episode. I have quite a heavy editing job to do now, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week. Bye!